Marine, Dany, Jorah, Tyrion. Tyrion and Jorah stand before the Sovereign and she is basically vibrating with outrage. She asks Tyrion for what valid reason she ought to acknowledge him into her administration. He says he tries to prompt her and check whether she merits his administration. She offers to send him back to the battling pits. He then, at that point, recounts Dany's biography to her and how she had no influence, riches, terrains or armed forces, yet the way in which she came into them, and how Varys told her that she was their best expectation as a ruler. She asks his recommendation on Jorah. Tyrion praises him for the most part, discussing how dedicated he is, that he's likely infatuated with her, that indeed, he sold out her, yet he just looks to serve her, and a decent sovereign doesn't motivate others to be given to her on the off chance that she kills the people who are. He says she ought to proceed to manage, however not with Jorah close by. She advised the gatekeepers to remove Jorah from her city, saving his life, yet at the same time squashing him inwardly. As he leaves, he respects the grayscale developing on his arm. He returns to the slave master and lets him know the slave master can possess him, assuming he allows him to battle before the Sovereign in the pits. Afterward, after he's done for and had a few wine, Tyrion and Dany talk a little family ancestry. Distraught ruler, killed his father, blah, blah, still with the danger of her killing him looming over him. He makes sense of what Varys shared with him about how she could be the best ruler. She reports that she won't kill him, however will rather take him on as a consultant. He makes sense of how she has no help since there are no Starks or Targaryens, the Baratheons and Lannisters won't help, and perhaps she'll have the Tyrells. She discusses the perpetual turning of the wheel between the families. He says she can't stop the wheel. She says she doesn't anticipate halting it, she intends to break it. Winterfell, Sansa, Stink, the Boltons. Stink presents to Sansa her supper and she goes up against him about ratting her out. He says he was helping her out since Ramsay generally finds out and would have rebuffed her further. He makes sense of how he changed him from Theon into Stink. She says she's happy Ramsay did this to him, and on the off chance that she could rehash it all she would do it to him as well. He says he merited all that he got for betraying Robb and taking Winterfell. In any case, he really does at long last concede that he didn't kill Wheat and Rickon like she thought before he takes off. So Sansa currently knows her siblings are alive. In the interim, Roose is consulting with his commanders and Ramsay about their conflict plans, which are fundamentally to trust that Stannis will show up at the strengthened Winterfell, cut him down and allow him to starve and freeze. He sees Ramsay clashes. Ramsay needs to take the battle to Stannis. At any rate, Roose says this is audacious, what's more their military couldn't endure the snow. Ramsay says he needn't bother with the military, only 20 great men. Braavos, Arya, Jaqen Hacker. Jaqen is helping Arya to turn into a renewed individual, a government operative of sorts. She is assuming the personality of Lana, a vagrant who sells shellfish, mollusks, and cockles from a truck in the business sectors somewhere near the channels. As we watch her discuss her story to him, he taps her arm when she entangles or to adapt. We watch her approach her life in the market with the clams and she looks out for a rich, testy man upon whom Jaqen maintains that her should spy for reasons unknown, to serve the many-confronted god. The man appears to be mean and inconsistent. We learn he is a card shark who wages on the excursions of mariners. Individuals he screws go to the many-confronted god and they deal with the individuals who do the screwing. He advises her to return and case the card shark, stake out his propensities, and afterward, basically, harm him. The many-confronted god is about vigilante equity obviously. Arya, obviously with her retribution list, grins as she leaves with the vial. The young lady who was spiteful to her before tells Jaqen she doesn't think Arya is prepared. Jaqen says regardless of whether she is doesn't make a difference to the many-confronted god. Ruler's arrival, Cersei. Cersei stews in her cell, all filthy and rumpled. A quiet sister enters and whips a slice of bread at her and offers her a spoon loaded with food provided that she admits. Cersei repeats that hers will be the last face the lady sees before she bites the dust. The sister whacks her head with the spoon. Qyburn drops by and the news isn't great. No word from Jaime and the ruler has taken to his bed and isn't eating, and no measure of wheedling can inspire him to come see her. Additionally, her uncle Kevin is getting back to act as his hand until this wreck is figured out. Qyburn says there is an exit plan, yet Cersei, realizing this implies admitting at or before the preliminary sex, inbreeding, injustice, Robert's homicide and so on. She won't give the High Sparrow, who she put in power, the fulfillment of an admission. He tells her the work proceeds, in his lab his insane vivification of the mountain. The quiet sister returns again with water and she again emphasizes her message, in the wake of attempting to pay off her first by offering her to make her an influential lady. The sister pours the water on the floor and leaves her. Cersei frantically sucks at the floor. Palace Dark, Gilly and Sam. She watches out for his injuries. He asks how she is. She says she's fine yet concedes she's somewhat terrified. Ollie shows up with food. He asks him for what valid reason Jon is attempting to save the wildlings, who killed his folks and his entire town. Sam says wildlings are individuals, with both great and awful. Ollie considers how they can trust them. Sam says he's seen the White Walkers and says they're coming for themselves and they will require each man they have to battle them, and now and again men need to go with hard decisions, ones that take a gander from the outset yet they know are correct. He advises him to do whatever it takes not to stress, and says he's been stressing regarding Jon for a really long time and he generally returns. Hardhome, Jon Snow, Tormund Giantsbane and a shitload of White Walkers. We slice to Jon and a lot of men paddling shorewards from the armada of boats they acquired from Stannis. The wildlings of Hardhome look for them on the shore, very shocked to see Tormund Giantsbane with crows. The pioneers welcome them. Jon reports their partners. The head of the Hardhome calls Tormund a swindler. Jon says they are not there to battle yet to talk. Tormund kills the pioneer, coming to his meaningful conclusion, and advises the others to accumulate the elderly folks to talk. Jon makes sense of what's going on and that he realizes that they are not companions and never will be. It's about endurance and putting the wildlings behind the wall to safeguard them and that together they can beat the White Walkers. They are past doubtful. He shows them the dragonglass that they can use to kill the walkers. He lets them know they can choose the grounds south of the wall. He conjures the fantasies of Mance Rayder and says he will allow them to settle assuming they promise to go along with him when the genuine conflict begins. They ask where Mance is. Jon makes sense of about the bolt, yet Tormund makes sense of it was in benevolence given the circumstance. Jon implores them to ponder their kids, the drawn-out night is coming, and the dead accompanied it. He says the walkers are coming and not a single one of them can stop them alone. They need to gather as one, nevertheless that being said they probably won't win, however essentially they'll give them a battle. Tormund vouches for himself and says he's a decent contender, a decent pioneer, and they need one another. They entrust Tormund and toss in with them, aside from the Thens, who aren't dazzled. The wildlings fire stacking up to get on the boats. There will be no less than 5,000 and many are as yet remaining behind. Tormund says they'll come around when they start starving. The Goliath takes a gander at the mythical serpent glass. Edison is gathering it, however lets the Goliath keep it. Unexpectedly, every one of the canines begin woofing, and afterward, crap hits the fan. A multitude of White Walkers and Whites plummets on Hardhome and it is startling. They race to close the entryways and individuals are still external them. Everybody inside the doors respects the attack, mouths agape. What's more, out of nowhere the Whites are at the entryways, breaking through. Individuals begin running for the rowboats to the boats stuffing them. Inside the keep the Whites dive, similar to Outsiders from Outsider, and the battle is on. Bolts are flying, blades are swinging, Whites are shouting. Jon calls the Night's Watch to follow him and battle. They all do. They battle boldly for a spell. A White Walker and Jon take on. Jon scrambles for the mythical serpent glass yet can't get to it. At the point when he pulls his own sword he annihilates the White Walker. So presently we realize Valyrian steel can obliterate them. Be that as it may, one blade isn't enough as 1,000s are coming. Jon and Tormund and a couple of others beat him to the boats and the Whites butcher scores more. As they line away they think back towards the shore. The super White Walker, Late Evening Lord, respects them and raises his arms aside. As he does, all of the wildlings they killed open their eyes, they are ice blue. They are currently Whites. Once more, they ascend. Jon and a couple of different survivors in the boat are appropriately gone ballistic as they float back to the boat, the Goliath alongside them, smacking off Whites. The drawn-out night has come and the dead have accompanied it.